Hey everybody, today is a really interesting episode. We have the most positive person I've ever met. Her name is Laura Schmidt. She owns and founds Notes to Self socks, positive affirmation socks, and she has a really interesting journey on entrepreneurship, and I hope that you enjoy the podcast. Thanks for listening. All right, Laura Schmidt, thanks for coming to the podcast. We are at the world headquarters of Notes to Self Socks.
Sock Central.
Sock Central. So, kind of tell me a little bit about your entrepreneurship journey and how you got started with Notes to Self.
Thanks, Andrew. This is really fun. You ought to see this setup here. I guess this is all showing on audio and video, right?
Yep.
For the podcast. So
Yep.
That's cool. So you are seeing it. How cool. I started this business about 8 years ago, and really my whole life, positive words have really been important to me, and I've used positive affirmations to help me with my own confidence. I used to put sticky notes on my bathroom mirror that said things like, I am strong, I am confident. I'd even write with like lip liner or sticky notes. And anyway, I was on a road trip with my family. We were headed to Western Kansas. I don't know if you know this part of the story, that we were on our way to Hayes, which is where my husband Garrett is from.
That's out there a little ways.
Yeah, about 4 hours now. And it was New Year's Day, 2011, and our 3 teenagers at the time were in the back seat, and Garrett was driving, and I was in the passenger seat and had my feet up on the dashboard and was reading a book about positive thinking. And it said that the best time to say positive affirmations is early in the morning and late at night, in that half awake, half asleep time when the subconscious mind is most open because the conscious filters aren't quite up yet. Mm-hmm. And it hit me, what if I put the positive words on the toes of socks? Then twice a day you'd be training your mind to think better thoughts without even trying.
Yeah, and 2 times, even twice a day is a lot more. You know, it could be 2 times as many as what people normally say,
right,
unfortunately, in this day and age. So that's really cool. So there is a little bit of science behind it.
There really is. So
then you decided to start your company 8 years ago. Was it just you in the beginning? Because
yes.
I know that you have your husband with you now. So what?
Yes.
So maybe talk about the family dynamic and how you started, and maybe when Garrett came on.
I will. One thing that I like to point out is that time when we were in the car. I think about that day, and I remember that we were near Manhattan, which is where both Garrett and I graduated from, and there's that sign on I-70 that says, "Welcome to the Flint Hills." Mm-hmm, I remember being by that sign. But I think about turning to him and telling him the idea, and it's not like it was a lightning flash moment or anything, but I do recall it, and I remember that he either said something neutral or positive. And I'm really grateful that he did, because had he chosen to say something even joking in a negative way or anything, I might have not had the confidence to take the next step. And
interesting.
Yeah.
So what were you doing at the time?
I had a Mary Kay business. I was a Mary Kay sales director for over 20 years, built a big business with that. And I actually had taken another full-time job with a company doing outside sales, because I was kind of in a transition period. Mm-hmm. I knew that I still loved, I had a great experience with Mary Kay, but I knew I was ready for my next challenge. So I had taken a series of outside sales positions, trying to figure it out.
So did you ever show up to that job, or?
Oh, I was working that job. I mean, this was just, vacation, New Year's Day, and I ended up actually resigning from that job a month after I got the idea.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. So, some people, when they decide to start a company, will go slow. They won't quit their job right away, but it sounds like you dove in head first.
But see, the other thing is I still had a very big Mary Kay business going. Uh-huh. So it wasn't like I quit my day job. I just quit my second job.
Okay. Well, that's fair. That's fair.
And Andrew, I do believe that it's so important, if you can, to keep your day job, because then you don't have the pressure of having to use the income to pay your bills.
Yes. And especially, when I started my business, I was straight out of college, and I decided I'm going to put all my money into the business. I lived at home mm-hmm. with my parents, and I wasn't married. So I was pretty cavalier with my business. But now that I'm married and we have 2 kids, there's a lot of pressure to perform for your company. And I think when people see entrepreneurship now and they think it's so cool and they just want to go dive into it, the truth is most companies fail. And, so I think people do need to be cognizant not to just jump in there. But at the same time, you have to do what makes you happy. And I think both of you and I are lucky because we both sell really happy products.
Yeah.
So that helps us be happy too.
Right.
But running a company is not easy. So what are some of the challenges you've had since you've opened, 8 years ago?
Well, sometimes the website goes down.
Like right now?
We had a little issue about a couple hours ago where one of our websites went down. Yeah. Just the normal ones of, just growing and just the typical stuff. It's funny. It's like I'm so positive. I don't even think about those negative things. I just keep going.
Because that's part of the reason I do this podcast is I try to keep myself in a positive mind frame. Mm-hmm. And I always tell people, I'm in the donut business. The donuts will sell themselves.
Right.
But our biggest challenge is, the dealing with the employees and, mm-hmm. That seems to be what most business owners say. And of course, like access to capital
right.
is probably another big one. But yeah, I'm also curious about all the things on the wall behind me. So you've got a lot of frames there. What are they?
Yeah, the registered trademarks. That was one of the first things that I did, actually, even before I had socks to sell, is I started figuring out, what intellectual property would be involved with this business. The first thing that I trademarked was our brand, Notes to Self, and then started trademarking individual phrases. Like we own the registered trademark in the category of socks and T-shirts and that type of thing for like, I am awesome, I am amazing, I am confident, I am brave.
So what's that process like? What do you do? Do you just call a lawyer and they help you apply for it? I'm sure they have to check to see if anyone else has it.
Right. And back to the socks, we are so excited about those socks when we got them. I mean, they're such a pretty sock. I mean, your branding and the colors you've chosen are really beautiful.
Well, we had to pick happy colors for happy products, right?
For sure.
And I'm excited too that you're kind of branching out a little bit too. Not only do you have multiple types of socks, but you now have hats. Mm-hmm. You've done gift sets. You have baby socks. Mm-hmm. What's next for you?
Well, the immediate next thing is beanies. They're on our website right now, Positive Affirmation beanies, and we haven't really officially done a full launch, but they're there if anybody wants to see them or purchase them. But they have positive words on the inside, so you can choose to just have that for you, or you can flip the cap up another time and wear it that way.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's brilliant because some days you might just want to keep it to yourself.
That's right.
and a little self perspective and motivation, and other days you want to shout from the mountaintops how awesome or happy you are. So that's really neat. We'll definitely probably have to do a collaboration on hats too, by the way.
That'd be great.
We love those.
We have a Kansas City themed one.
Oh,
so
do you?
2 different Kansas City themed ones.
So what does that one say?
It's one that's like Chiefs colors and one's Royals and Sporting KC colors. And the Chiefs one says, I believe on the outside, and then the inside, we are awesome. And then the Sporting and Royals one says, I believe, and then I am optimistic.
I love that. I think we should talk a little bit too about the sports and what they mean for towns. And it was pretty amazing when the Royals won the World Series back in 2015, and the amount of pride that has gone through our town. I mean, I'm wearing a KC Heart shirt right now, mm-hmm. and those have just been a huge success for Charlie Hustle. And we've done some products too related to our local teams. And what was your thought process on deciding to do a Chiefs hat and a Royals hat? And just talk about that psychology.
Well, and it goes back to the days leading up to the World Series, even before we were like contenders. We gave I Am Confident socks to the starters of the Royals 2 years before the series when they weren't winning. And
you had a pretty high profile person talk to you about that. I love this story. So I don't know, maybe elaborate a little bit on that story.
Okay, well, George Brett was the one that got the Sox to the team for us. And that was the year before they were doing really great. And after they got the Sox, they started winning like 10 games in a row. And so we were all convinced, that we had something to do with it. And then the next year, of course, they went all the way to the series, right? And it was game 6. And we had done I Believe Sox. And actually they're here. They're in the top row, third from the left. See the two Believe?
Yep.
Yeah. And we also have a crew sock on the bottom right over there, the 2 different blue ones that we did Royals themed. And anyway, so each of the team got the light blue lower cut ones. And so it was when we lost and the team was coming back in the series. So we lost game 5.
Yeah.
And they came back to Kansas City to play game 6 in the series that we didn't win in. So that would have been 2014, right? And so it's game 6, it's a home game, and we were home watching it on the big screen, and it was 9-0.
Oh,
and
goodness, yes,
my
I
cell
remember.
phone rang, and it was George Brett. And I said to Garrett, "This is George Brett calling," and I couldn't even believe it.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Laura, it's the Sox." And I go, "I know. I don't know if I should tweet about it or, put it on Facebook." And he goes, "I can't hear you. There's 40,000 people here. I'll talk to you later." And the part I forgot to say is, I had contacted him after they lost and were coming back and said, "I want to give socks to the whole team."
Yeah.
So we took like 50 pairs of socks to them in between when they lost in that game. So, yeah.
Hey, you can probably take a little bit of credit there.
We do, of course.
The power of positive thinking.
That's
can
right.
go a long way. That's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. Maybe you'll have that same chance with the Chiefs.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
That would be.
I love Patrick Mahomes' new charity, and I hope that someday we can partner with him to give some of our socks to some of the kids that he supports.
Yeah, he actually just got Sportsman of the Year for Kansas City, so he's been a great asset for our community, and it's just really cool seeing people of his level and stature do that, because he doesn't have to.
Right.
So yeah, that's really neat. So yeah, I mean, I'm just curious too. What's it like being a mom, running a business, having a family? How do you manage your time?
Well, that when I started this business, our sons were already in college or getting ready to go to college, and our daughter was still in high school. So the first few years of it, she was, the business was in the home the first few years. And actually, when each of our boys went away to college, we took over their bedrooms and had socks stored in them. Truly.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, and you've grown so much since then. I mean, here at Sock Central, there's thousands upon thousands of socks just all around us. Your feet never go cold.
That's
I'll
right.
tell ya.
That's right.
So yeah, I mean, what do they think of it all though?
They love it.
They're older.
Yeah, but they've been a big part of it. I mean, I remember early on when I was trying to pick even the font that we would use and that kind of thing, they were very helpful with helping me create a modern font. And, just like when I didn't know if I should go left or right, getting their opinion has been very, very great. They're all very supportive.
Yeah, I pretty much run everything through my wife just because, it's nice to have some other person's perspective.
Absolutely.
And, you do a lot of traveling. So, I asked you offline what kind of vacations you have planned, and your vacations tend to be trade shows.
Right.
So you're working and vacationing at the same time. And I think that's a pretty common theme for entrepreneurs is, you just kind of have to get it in when you can, and you're going to have to do a little bit of work too while you're on vacation. So.
Well, and the family part, one of the things that has been kind of nice timing for me is that during these years when I've been working a lot, my family is off at college or, starting their lives. Our kids are in their 20s now.
Yeah.
So I can pretty much work as much as I want, and it's not affecting anybody. And now that Garrett works with me in the business, he and I are working together. So, we would be doing things together anyway.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's really interesting too. And one of my favorite things about you is you're always trying to learn something new.
Thank you.
And you'll go to conferences, you'll read books. What's something recently of note that you're kind of focused on, or what's a new skill that you're trying to learn at the moment?
Actually, Facebook marketing. I'm working really hard to understand all of that and learning a lot, and I took an online course on how to do that. But, one thing that you and I were both at was that airport conference.
Yeah.
Or you were at a different conference.
Yeah, I was at the franchise convention.
Right, in
But
Vegas.
we just happened to both be in Vegas at the same time, so that was really cool that we got to meet up.
With Danny O'Neill also at the same, he was at the airport conference as well.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and while I was there, everybody because I went there thinking I want to expand to more airports because we're in 3 right now and are doing really well in those. And the goal is to have them in every airport.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if there's any listeners out there that have any ideas or connections for us, please let us know. But anyway, everyone that came to my booth loved what we were doing, and it was a new idea that people hadn't seen, the socks. But almost everybody said, are you ACDBE certified, which is Airport Concessions Disadvantaged Business Entity, meaning 100% women owned, or that type of thing. So I went through the certification, and this morning I had my 2-hour interview with the state of Kansas, and to just confirm that I had all the paperwork in place and everything. So I'm hoping that is an advantage for me when I start to talk to KCI Airport. I need to.
Tactic, yeah.
Yeah.
And gosh, I remember you were talking about this certification months ago, so it's been a long process.
It has been.
It's not just something you go do, and the next week you're certified.
No, it's taken the whole time since early this year.
And let's go back to Facebook marketing a little bit too, because when you talk to people like our interns, and you mention the word Facebook, they'll probably laugh at you because they're like, oh, that's not cool. And, Laura and Andrew, you guys are behind the times. But the fact is, Facebook is still huge. The audience has just shifted to a different demographic.
Right.
So, are you keeping that in mind? Like when you develop your ad strategies for Facebook, it might not be someone in high school or college, it's someone probably a little bit older, 30s, 40s and up. It's just really interesting because we both are pretty adamant followers of Gary Vaynerchuk and the Gary V show, and he talks a lot about contextual creative and being contextual for the social platform that you're on.
Right.
And he talks about Facebook a lot and says there's still a ton of value there.
Right.
And what he means by value is the ads are underpriced for what you get.
Right.
Versus like a television commercial, where you're paying a ton of money to reach a limited amount of people. And on Facebook, you can target the exact person that you want. If you're trying to target a grandmother or a mom that might have just graduated, school, you can get really down to it.
For sure.
So I'm going to have to pick your brain a little bit on that because that's something we've been looking into as well, because we're getting ready to launch a new website, and we've got our own merchandise we're looking at, and so you'll have to school me on it a little bit.
I'd love to talk about it. What we're doing is like a lot of our target market is women, and it does tend to be women that are moms. Parents are buying them for other family members. I mean, the socks are unisex, but typically the one purchasing it is a woman.
It makes a ton of sense for you and us too, because we have a lot of mothers that visit our store. And you're talking about more than just clicking the boost button.
Oh, we don't boost.
No, you go actually into the ad manager.
Yes.
You create custom audiences.
Yes.
And you create campaigns with multiple ad sets. Yeah, I mean it's. People make it out like it's just some easy feat, but it's equal parts science and equal part art, really.
Exactly.
It's really quite the feat to pull it off if you can do it.
Right.
But if you get good at it, you can see a tremendous ROI. So.
Definitely. I also attended Gary V's 4Ds class in New York earlier this year.
Yeah, so the 4Ds are daily digital deep dive,
right,
where they go into your business and they kind of audit like your digital presence?
It's more like they bring in their top people for an entire day, like their chief creative officer and their chief heart officer. Claude Silver, she spoke to us for like an hour just about the direction of what they do in their company, and even just some of the things they've done with creative and successes they've had, and then people that do the details behind it, came and answered questions. And now we're part of a group on a closed Facebook group where we can ask questions and stuff. So that's been helpful.
And you got to meet Gary Vee himself too.
Yes,
So
it's the second time
cool.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love how you'll if you find an opportunity to meet some of these probably masterminds of business, you'll go for it, and so that's really cool. So what's on the horizon though for Notes to Self, and are you growing? What's the future hold for you?
We are growing, and we've got big plans. Yesterday we worked with a local company, and I did some speaking classes. They had some kind of wellness classes for their company, and really neat company. I'm not going to tell the name of the company because they're surprising their employees with a gift. But
awesome.
But anyway, I better not say too much about it. But anyway, let me just say this: that I really think that one of our growth areas, in addition to airports and notestoself.com, growing direct to consumer, another area is businesses and gifting their employees with phrases that show their appreciation for them. One of my customers did "I am crushing it" socks for all their salespeople,
which is a reference to Gary Vee,
exactly,
and his book "Crushing It."
Well, and actually, we did those socks for Gary Vee, and we did them, in conjunction with them, and now he allows us to sell them on our website. So
yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, he's really supportive. It's pretty cool because he's got millions of fans out there, and he'll do whatever he can to help. Obviously he's only one guy, but yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh, you know what? Where are my shoes? I have his Clouds and Dirt shoes.
I have those shoes too. I should have worn mine.
I know. These are the original ones, and I just ordered the third pair that aren't in yet.
I have the black version.
I do too. Yeah, and it's got clouds in one and then dirt in the other. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. So it kind of goes along with the socks too, right? Because you look down at your shoes and you kind of empower yourself a little bit.
Well, and then his new shoes, I was kind of thinking about doing something like that. And his shoes say, what is it? Positivity and optimism all on the outside. Yeah. So it's awesome. Yeah, it is.
That's really cool too. There's just so many parallels between our company and your company too.
I agree.
Like in terms of, we're trying to promote happiness and positivity, and that's what we're doing with the podcast too. I'm just curious about people and how they show themselves to the world in a positive light, and you all definitely do that and inspire me. So I really appreciate the time today and allowing us to come and visit with you.
Andrew, thank you for being here, and we love what you're doing, and we can't wait to come to Donutology and see the Donutology socks on display there.
Yeah, they're there and they're ready to go.
Awesome. I hear you've been selling a few pairs already.
We have, and it's been really good. So I can't wait to see what else we can come up with in the future. So thanks so much, Laura Schmidt, Notes to Self Socks.
Thanks, Andrew.
Hey everyone, if you liked what you saw, please hit the subscribe button. Also, you can find us on social media in the links below. Thank you.